We got a guy, Isaac Feldman, here who used to work with us. He works at the Sports Network. He fought last week and won.
Winner by knockout from Long Island, New York, Isaac Feldman.
Here's the problem with that. Now with the proliferation of MMA,
Yes.
you ain't got anybody.
You have no idea.
Because that dude Isaac, who's a great kid, you'd look at him and go, I'll probably have this guy. I can handle this guy.
He'd kill you in
Meanwhile,
30 seconds.
What?
Right.
Hi-ya! No, like, God damn, I had the wrong guy.
Welcome to the IkeTagon.
Yo, what's up? What's up, followers, subscribers, likers, favoriters, family, friends, MMA fans, movie fans, comedian fans? What's up, people? Ike Feldman back in your life. The IkeTagon.com, episode 3, at IkeTagon, IkeTagon. Obviously, don't gotta point this out, but not in my studio, not with the green screen, not gonna have the fancy effects. But in case you didn't believe me, I live in beautiful Brooklyn, New York. There's Manhattan behind me. That's Prospect Park, and there's the lovely Freedom Tower. So, gonna do it a little different this time. Got my notes so you can see I prep hard, I study hard, and I recite it beautifully to you guys. This week, brand new news. Obviously, fight previews, fight recaps, a new what the moment of the week, movie reviews for you, some new, some old. I decided to keep it a little loose. You know, it's some of the last few days of the summer, and it's beautiful in New York right now. High 70s, low 80s, and I'm in the midst of training. I'm competing tomorrow, depending on when this comes out. Grappling Industries, September 28th, Baruch College, New York. It's going to be like my 8th or 10th grappling event, so I hope to bring back gold. No, I'm not cutting a lot of weight. Luckily about this tournament, you weigh in and then you compete. It's to discourage weight cutters and the dehydrating. I used to do that in the past. I might do it in the future, but I've trained with a ton of top people. I've met a ton of top people in the jiu-jitsu world. I will let you know on the IkeTagon episode 4 how it went, only if I win. Just kidding, just kidding. So some fight news. ESPN Plus, UFC Fight Night 159. Yair Rodriguez, the young surgeon prospect on the verge of stardom, ready to fight and defend his Mexican crown, his conquistador, his armada, I think that's Spain, not Mexico, against Jeremy Stephens, the veteran brawler, 33 years of age. A lot of miles on him, but he's been through wars. He's always reinventing himself. He's always evolving. He trains with some of the best people out in California, with Eric Del Fierro at the helm of it. Trains with Dominic Cruz, former bantamweight champion. Trains with the like of Phil Davis, Alexander Gustafsson. A top gym. Let's see how it goes. So Jeremy Stephens is going to be no slouch for Yair Rodriguez. And this is a big pressure event for Yair. He's in front of his family. As you can see, he's welcoming the home crowd using a silk flag. I actually really like that. Kisses and hugs his family members. Steps in there, all the emotions of the world. His last fight, he beat up in the final second with an amazing elbow. The Korean Zombie, knockout of the year. This was his next fight. A ton of pressure on him. Could he be the face of Mexico? Here we go. Okay, the two are feeling out each other. Who's going to get the better of one another? Who wants this more? A lot's on the line. Does Yair surge to be a top 5 contender and challenge Max Holloway for the featherweight belt? Does Jeremy Stephens regain himself, knock off those losses, get back into the win column, and beat Yair Rodriguez? No, it ended in a eye poke. Are you kidding me? Obviously, Mexico City, all the Mexican fans trying to support their guy Yair Rodriguez. They were not happy. They start throwing a ton of into the octagon. This was the scene you see in soccer. I haven't seen in baseball. We conduct ourselves better in America, right? The best part about this was the play-by-play commentator, Brendan Fitzgerald, was with Michael Bisping, He jumped under the desk. He was scared that some Poland Spring bottle might crack open his skull.
They came here to see Yair Rodriguez.
And the crowd are not happy.
So,
Jeez Louise.
I'm going to just duck under the table here.
Yeah.
They came to see their guy, so I'm going to take cover. Whoever else can get under here. Susie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just got Modelo in the face. No, it's okay. I don't hide, Brendan.
I mean, I guess it's just a dry cleaning bill, but you hate to see it like this. I mean, I empathize with the fans.
It's progressed from Modelo to ice cubes to bottles.
¿Cómo están, bitches? Spanish language news is here. Tonight's top story. The sewers run red with Burgundy's blood. Yeah, yeah!
Bisping squares up with the crowd, says, hey, who the f wants a piece of the champ? Nobody wanted a piece. Ended in an ugly scene. The worst part was for the Mexican fans. They didn't get that fight that they deserved. Yair Rodriguez, like I said, on the verge of stardom. It's unfortunate because I'm sure he put a lot of time into his training camp. The rumor is that Jeremy Stephens put $30,000 into his training camp. He moved to Mexico 5 weeks before the fight to get acclimated to the temperature, get used to the local scene, work on a couple things. Didn't work out. 15 seconds in. Nobody wants to see that. So anybody who's claiming that Jeremy Stephens out or this was his way to not fight potential superstar and not get his third loss in a row, and why the F am I in somebody's home country? I might get shanked by the cartel. No. Jeremy Stephens is a brawler. He's a warrior. He's been in there with the best of the sport. That is not part of Jeremy's style. Trust me on this. Great job by referee Herb Dean giving Jeremy Stephens 5 minutes. They brought the doctors in there. Unfortunately, he still couldn't continue. But the beef continued. The next day in the hotel lobby, Yair Rodriguez approaches Jeremy Stephens. Neither fighter knew the camera was rolling. Fighters should not be pushing each other or approaching each other outside of the octagon, outside of the cage. We've seen what happened with Khabib Nurmagomedov last year with Conor McGregor. They rescheduled the fight October 12th in Boston. It's rescheduled. Much more hype behind it. Honestly, I can't wait to see this now. It's the co-main event for that Boston card, so it's going to get rowdy. Moving forward in the IkeTagon, I got to go. I gotta start training more. I'm going to get edgy if I stay on this roof too long. I might get yelled at by the super or the maintenance guy. No, I got to stop. Hold on, give me... All right, I guess I started my tournament a little early. I had to put the super in a pretzel. He's good. Hey, take it easy, Paul. Moving forward. Now, I have to look at the notes because this weekend is jam-packed with MMA fights. Bellator has 2 events, or 3 events. Who's counting? UFC has an event. Let's look at the biggest fights from each. Bellator 227. Benson Henderson versus Miles Jury. This is going to be Miles Jury's first fight for Bellator. He previously fought in the UFC. And I didn't mention him, actually. He's training partners with Jeremy Stephens, who also trains under Eric Del Fiero. Like I said, that whole California team. Miles Jury is one of the UFC's favorite prospects. Brown belt in jiu-jitsu, probably black belt at this time. Amazing striking, great composure, but was in his own head. He couldn't put it together upstairs. Unfortunately, it fell apart. Bellator picked him up, and now in his first event, he's headlining in Dublin, Ireland. Benson Henderson, former UFC champion. I'm sure you guys know him. Look at that soul glow haircut he's got going. Look at those curls. You can't duplicate that. But this is a tough test for Miles Jury's first fight. By the way, I'm in New York. You might hear some sirens, airplanes, supers, neighbors, air-conditioned events, whatever, you get it. This is a tough fight for Jury. It depends on what type of Benson Henderson we're going to get. Are we going to get the motivated former UFC champion who's putting in the work, who has an easy weight cut, who has non-stop pace, strong wrestling, efficient enough striking to outpoint on the feet? Or is this going to be Miles Jury's coming out party for Bellator? I'm going to go with Benson Henderson. I think he gets it done with his experience. I think Jury's going to be in his own head. He's going to be smelling his own oomph, if you know what I mean. And I don't think he's going to necessarily detract far from this loss because he's coming off previous losses. I think Bellator's new life for him. I think he'll bounce back in his next fight. But Benson Henderson edges it. Bellator 228. Patricio Pitbull. No, not that Pitbull. Fieri. His brother's a fighter, Patricky. This Pitbull is a 2-division champion. He just beat one of the greatest fighters in MMA in Michael Chandler in stunning fashion, knocked him out, going against Juan Archuleta, an actor. I'm actually going to review a project that Juan Archuleta was in called Kingdom later in the show. But for now, he's actually fighting, no acting. Juan Archuleta trains with TJ Dillashaw, Aaron Pico, but unfortunately for the Dillashaw and Pico, it hasn't gone well. Archuleta is the only one that's winning in that training camp, but Pitbull is on a freaking tear. This is Bellator's featherweight Grand Prix. That means it's a 16-fighter bracket. It goes 16-8, 4-2. The champion, Patricio's coming in here with the belt. If Archuleta gets it done, he would be the champion, and everybody would be looking to take off his head. I think Patricio gets it done, retains the title, and moves on to the next round of the Bellator Featherweight Grand Prix. Also on Bellator 228, Gegard Mousasi, former UFC fighter, former UFC top contender against Lyoto, the Dragon, Machida, the original Karate Kid before Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Machida, a former UFC champion at 205, is rematching Gegard Mousasi. If you guys remember, which I didn't, I had to look this up. Machida, as he always does in his victories, most of them, he outpoints the guy. He outpointed Mousasi in a 5-round main event. It wasn't for a title or a belt or number one contendership. It was just on a random fight night. Machida, as he always does, outpointed Mousasi. Mousasi's always evolved. He's been up and down since he's been on Bellator. A win, a loss, a win. If he could beat Machida, that's a statement win because he not only avenges a previous loss from years ago in the UFC, but he shows that he means business and he's not going to ride out his career in Bellator. Gegard's been in a ton of promotions. Dream MMA, Strikeforce, which the UFC bought. I think the UFC's bought everything. Bellator. Doesn't matter to him at this point. He's fought everybody. He hasn't gotten the praise or the recognition, and that's probably why his motivation has deterred, but we'll see in this fight. I'm going to go with Mousasi. Last huge MMA event of the weekend, UFC Fight Night 160. Are you guys following along here? Episode 1 was UFC Fight Night 158. Last week was 159. It's 160. There's almost a UFC event every week. Come on, it's easy. They put a number on it. Jack Hermansson going against Jared Cannonier. Trust me, the names do not get easier on this. That's why I wrote it down. But Jack Hermansson got it done in amazing fashion back at UFC Miami. What was this? April 27th. My boy Will was there in person. Hermansson outpointed, outscrapped, outpaced, every word you want to say, outworked Jacare Souza, Hanato Jacare Souza, Hanaldo Jacare Souza. But Jacare for short and for my sake. All right, seriously, with these names. Amazing win for Hermansson. Put him on the map. He called out Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman moved up to 205. Like I said, he's fighting Dominic Reyes next month. This is the biggest fight that he could have got. Jared Cannonier is a name that's on the rise. Cannonier just beat up Anderson Silva at UFC 237 with a really bad leg kick that probably ended the Spider's career. It's unfortunate, but Cannonier's on the rise. He's a former heavyweight, moved down, which is 205 to 265. Moved down to 205 pounds, and now is fighting at 185 pounds. Lean, mean, fighting machine. Whoever wins this fight is going to get a top 4 opponent next. So it's a very important crossroads fights for Hermansson and Cannonier. I'm going with Jack. Jack the Joker Hermansson, not only because the Joker movie's coming out soon, and trust me, I'll give you a review for that. I don't know why everybody's raving about it, standing audiences. Get the f*** out of here with that shit. I'll give you the review. Right now, there's only one Joker, Heath Ledger. Regardless, no connection. I'm still going with Jack the Joker Hermansson to get it done. Probably a submission within 3 rounds. Other fights on the card. I gotta look at this while I say this. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Now, you might not know him, but you should. He knocked out by a liver shot local Long Islander John Vellante. I think it was last year. Amazing performance. Now he's going against UFC veteran OSP. This is kind of crossroads fight. OSP, whenever he deals with these type of guys, he always sends them back down. And then OSP, Oven St. Preux, then he climbs the rankings and he gets brushed back down. But I think this is going to be an amazing victory for Oleksiejczuk. Oleksiejczuk, you know, it was easy. First try. Mark DeCasey versus Lando Venata on the undercard. A little earlier in the event, Again, this event kicks off at 2 p.m., the main card on ESPN+, but before that they have some prelims fight. And Mark DeCasey, the British kickboxer, going against the American stylish Greg Jackson product out of Albuquerque, teammates of Holly Holm and John Jones, Lando Venata. This kid is a hit or miss, but he'll always try his best. He's either going to miss badly, get knocked out, or he's going to hit and have an amazing highlight reel knockout. I think Lando's in the right headspace right now. DeCasey's on the decline. Go Venata. Put your money on Venata. One more fight from the UFC Fight Night 150. See, I screwed it up. 160. Former Glory kickboxer. I saw him in person. Giga Chikadze. He's a champion in kickboxing, so obviously he's a great striker. Going against the big frame Brandon Davis. This kid's like 6'1", and cuts to 130 pounds. Not joking about that. Chikadze has had a iffy road since he jumped into the mixed martial arts pool. You know, it's not just kickboxing. I've seen a lot of people, especially with this Conor McGregor era, they think that if you know some boxing or kickboxing, Muay Thai, that even if you're a black belt in all those disciplines, that you can jump into a mixed martial arts fight. Wrong. You need a grappling base, wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu. You need to compete in New York City, September 28th. That's me. No, but I think he jumped this transition to mixed martial arts. I think Brandon Davis, who's way less skilled on the feet, but whose skills are equally distributed among striking, grappling, cardio, condition, experience. I think Brandon Davis gets it done. Giga Chikadze, again, big name in the kickboxing world, hasn't established himself in the UFC. I think Brandon Davis gets it done. So, for Yo Junkies, here's the money. Bellator 227, Benson Henderson versus Miles Jury. Go Henderson. Bellator 228, Pitbull versus Archuleta. Go Pitbull. Dale. Musashi versus Lyoto Machida. Go Musashi. I like the dude. Redemption story. Show me you still got something in the tank, guy. UFC Fight Night 160. Jack Hermanson, the Joker, over Jared Cannonier. And I like Jared, but go with the Joker. Michael Oleksiejczuk versus Ovince St. Preux, or OSP for short. There's the siren. They're coming to get me because of how bad these picks are. But Michael Oleksiejczuk, Mark DeCasey versus Lando Venata. Go Lando. Giga Chikadze, Brandon Davis. Go Brandon Davis. There's your picks. There's your money. I'm undefeated on the IkeTagon, even though I've only won one fight. Still undefeated. Take the money. Now, for the what the moment of the week. I got to work on the all moments. You know, I have a lot of what the moments. It makes sense because you look at things and you go, WTF, man. WTF, man. But this one is well worth the what the moment of the week. So, UFC 243 is next week, October 5th. In Melbourne, Australia. I did an Irish accent for Australian accent. Believe me, I've actually offended Australian fighters for doing that. Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker. Below that, Ally Quinta, a Long Island native, Wanta, going against Dan Hooker. That's going to be an amazing fight, amazing card. I'll preview it next week, give you all the digital hype and everything to make it look good. But for now, this is the what the moment. It's well-deserved. It's perfect. I'm looking at my notes because I want to quote this verbatim. So, UFC obviously has octagon girls or cage girls or ring girls, just like boxing, who hold the little cue cards.
Round 1. In case you drunk asses can't see it.
So, this is the real title of this person. The Lord Mayor of Melbourne. And it's Melbourne, not Melbourne, Australia. Fact. So, the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, Australia, Sally Cap. She said the UFC should follow the Formula One format and rid itself of scantily clad women who serve no purpose other than to be half naked. Now, I agree. There is no purpose to having these beautiful, big-breasted, well-curved women walking around a cage filled with blood. I agree. There's no direct point or reason why the UFC should continue this tradition, but you got to hear Dana White's point about this. Dana White says, obviously he disagrees with the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, Sally Cap. Dana White disagrees with Cap and says, the Octagon girls are part of the brand. They're ambassadors for the sport. I don't know about that. I don't know about them being ambassadors. I agree with them having a job, using their assets or good looks to make a salary, make money. I'm sure they do stuff outside of the ring that's healthy for society. But here's the bro take of mine. You have these guys that are beating the living out of each other in a cage, or women beating the shit out of each other. Why not have something for 1 minute in between the 5-minute rounds to kind of break up that violence and the monotony of the violence by showing something that's beautiful, pretty, and doesn't have a black eye or a broken rib or a hematoma coming out the side of its head? Why not show the Octagon girl? They should equally start having ring boys or cage boys. And they do. Invicta FC, actually an all-women's fight league, seriously, uses UFC, he's a former UFC fighter, Elias Theodoro, he's Canadian. He walks around the cage in between the fights, no shirt. I think that's fair. I think maybe for every women's fight in the UFC, you have a male walk around the cage, and every male fight, you have a woman walk around the cage, right? Equality? Equal? So that's the what the moment of the week. Pick your side. I don't really have a side. I could live without the beautiful girls walking around. I still love the sport. I'll still follow it, still cover it on top of a rooftop. So you pick your side. Movie reviews. This week, the movies Enemy, First Man, and the show Kingdom. Enemy, 2014, Jake Gyllenhaal. This movie is under the radar. Directed by pretty high-profile director Denis Villeneuve, another French guy. And I was excited about this movie. You can probably hear the music. And I was excited about this movie. The genres it covered, I believe, was thriller, mind-bendy, drama. Jake Gyllenhaal. Loved him in Southpaw. Loved him in Nightcrawler. Yeah, I'm in. Let's see what it's about. A lot of it is Jake Gyllenhaal. There's two characters. A lot of it's Jake Gyllenhaal. Get the clue there. If you don't, over your head. But the best part about this was Jake Gyllenhaal's acting. Intense, as always. I'm sure he executed his lines perfectly. He did exactly what he was told. But the f***ing plot of this movie made no sense. Weaving and woven in the wrong directions. There's the director saying right now, "You don't like my movie? Why don't you like me? I never was a fan of the IkeTagon." But again, Gyllenhaal was the best part of the movie. The director seemed like he was just smelling his own shit. Everything else in this movie absolutely sucked outside of Gyllenhaal. The plot, the ending, the direction. And this director, he's actually done some big freaking movies that I've liked. Sicario, Blade Runner, Arrival, Prisoners. He's done great movies. Jake Gyllenhaal, as always, everything Jake Gyllenhaal puts his mind into is fantastic. Nightcrawler, Southpaw, Zodiac. But giving this a C+, it's on Netflix. You could check it out, see if I'm wrong. Again, tweet me or comment me, direct message me, fight me in the street if you want. Good luck. But at IkeTagon.com and at IkeTagon everywhere on social media. Next movie, First Man, Ryan Gosling, came out last year. This movie's been in my HBO movies queue for a long time. My wife's like, I'm not going to watch a movie about a guy in space alone. Wrong. It's not about some guy. It's about the guy. Neil Armstrong goes to space, 1960s. It's a great supporting cast of this movie. I don't know all the names, but you recognize all the faces. They support Gosling's kind of dry, normal, typecasted role that he typically does. They support him perfectly. The best part of this movie, they do a phenomenal job at showing you how freaking hard it is to get to the moon. Well, that's the sun. What am I pointing to the sky right now? They do a phenomenal job at it. And when he gets there, it's not corny. It really is like, wow, I never thought of how hard that mission probably was. This movie does a great job at capturing that. I'm giving it an A. Team America. Good job, Neil. The funny part about this, nobody talks about the second guy on the moon. Finally, the show Kingdom, which Juan Archuleta who I just told you. He guest stars in this, says no words. This show came out in 2014. Good luck trying to find this. You're not going to find it anywhere. I believe it's on DirecTV's audience stream. I think you could buy it on Amazon. Nobody buys anything. If it comes to a streaming platform like Netflix or something, it'll do very well. This show is awesome. You may think I'm saying it's awesome because of my MMA bias. I loved it because of MMA, but there's not that much fighting. That's the cool part about it. It's a lot of acting and character development. Actors like Frank Grillo, Nick Jonas. Seriously, Nick Jonas is in it. He does a great job. But if you guys have seen Showtime's Shameless, this is the MMA version of Shameless. A dysfunctional family, humor worked in with some dysfunctional family events, and it's a fight family, so it's pretty freaking cool. Some things were cyclical. If you knew a character was going to f*** up in a bad way, you knew he would get out of it. Some of that was all right, but overall, solid acting, great character development. It was captured pretty well. It made me want to train. Every other scene they're training and sweating, so that was really cool. I'm giving it an A-. Finally, IkeTagon number 3 wraps up with another positive message. Enjoy the sun. No, while that's a great positive message, it's summer coming to an end, and fall and the winter's starting to roll in. Cuddle weather, warm weather. Let's talk about relationships or relationships. Thanks, Dane. I still love your comedy no matter what anybody says. But relationships. I'm married to an Eastern European woman. English is not her first language, neither is it mine. Mine is bad impressions. English is not her first language, and yet I've gotten along with her better than some American girls. And the reason being is because of the communication and the honesty and the non-passive aggressive, like,
Oh, text him days later. He left the milk carton open, and he left a little skid mark in the toilet.
no, she doesn't play those games. And maybe it's just me in particular that needs that tough love or somebody to smack you in the back of the head, say, wake up, get out of bed, go make me coffee. Seriously, she does that. I'm abused. I don't want to show you guys the black eye. She's the anchor to my balloon. She pulls me down. If I'm drifting too far, she'll pull me back in. We'll have communication and vice versa. If I don't like something, she's taught me to express it immediately. Don't bottle it up inside for 2 or 3 weeks and then burst out when I'm chopping cheese or onions and I'm like, and that's why my friends don't hang out with me. She's confused. It's a poor way at venting myself and expressing myself. Guys, work on getting your feelings out. Girls, tell us what we're doing wrong. So communication, as I said in previous episodes, is very important, especially with relationships. Do something fun. Don't just Netflix and chill, and don't solve your problems with just physical activity. You know what I mean. Do something fun. Always ask about the person. You can always find out something. I know I'm the radio guy, the communication guy, but make your relationship a long-form running podcast. Always ask how they're doing. Always reflect on topics. Don't argue about some that you know will get the person riled. Don't set them up for an argument. Don't passive-aggressively not answer your texts or run away from Be a man. Be a woman. Communicate. Let's move forward in society, all right? We need stronger couples. Do something physical other than sex. Get outside, run, throw frisbee. There's always something you could do. Suck it up when you hang out with their friends. Do I like all of her friends? Yes. Maybe. There's at least one cool guy. So there you go. Relationships, not relationships. There's your picks. There's your recap. There's everything. IkeTagon episode 3 from lovely New York. I might be on lovely Long Island next week. Maybe a different scenery. But it's beautiful, isn't it? It's beautiful. I still love my Long Island home. Episode 4 might be from that. Again, I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to preview next week's fights. UFC 243, Long Island's own Ally Quinta, who I've spoken to in the past. I'll preview his fight and what's next for him. Keep liking, keep tweeting, Facebooking, favoriting, subscribing. Every f***ing millennial word you could think of. Keep doing it for me. I'll keep putting out content for you. Later.